All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with our lecture today. So our lecture is going to be on World War One, new technologies used. So this war was different from any wars in the past before that because of this new drive of technological innovation. So we're going to see some firsts in this war. Throughout this lecture, you're going to be following along. So you'll see on Google Classroom, you're going to click on World War One technology. Remember, here are the slides. I'll be posting the video for you to access. So this video will be on this tab as well. You're going to be following along with the docs. So like I said, it's about a 10, 15-minute lecture max. You're going to see 6 new items used in this war. You're going to see tanks. You're going to see mustard gas, airplanes, flamethrowers, submarines, and machine guns. So those are the 6 we're really looking for and focusing on. Here is our lecture. I'm going to start us off right now. It's going to be lengthier as far as the lecture goes because of the number of slides, but it's a pretty short lecture overall. So we're going to see World War One military technology. So you see this old school looking tank, this old school looking machine gun. The Great War, this World War One was fought from 1914 to 1918. So first, we're going to start with tanks. So on your document, you're going to write down one interesting fact from these slides regarding tanks. So you're going to see in this upper hand corner these old school looking tanks. So they were the first use of tanks came from the British. So we see the Industrial Revolution started with Great Britain. We see some of these technological innovations start with Great Britain. So the British started us off with these tanks. Tanks on tracks could navigate over rough terrain. That's a little self-explanatory there. Like most of us knew that these tanks their purpose was to be able to navigate on rougher terrain, including barbed wire and trenches. We're going to talk about trenches on Friday. War went from defenses having the advantage to offense. So tanks allowed this offensive push of war. A lot of times it was fought on a defensive side, but now these new innovations like tanks allowed people to go and expand and explore and have this offensive type mentality. This is the first tank ever. I know this was taken on, looks to be some kind of iPhone 3 quality picture. It was made by the British. So it looks a little bit different than tanks do today. This is considered the best tank by the end of World War One. So you see this change from here to here. This was made by the Italians. And this was super tank, right? And it says #fake news. Here's a video on tanks. So you can go ahead and watch that. I did attach the links for you on the slides themselves. We aren't going to watch it. Or maybe we are. We're going to move on, but you can go back and watch that video on your own time. We have the anti-tank rifles, really cool, be able to penetrate tanks. Same thing, video, we're not going to watch it. And now we're moving on to the second new technology, airplanes. And this is profound, obviously, for a number of reasons. We use airplanes today to get to and from places. Airplanes are used to carry cargo and bring certain resources and items to places quicker. Airplanes in this war were used to ship certain items. We're going to see in World War II how airplanes were used to ship bombs. But in this case, instead of using wood, aircraft starting using metal, increasing the protection of the plane. So as opposed to wood, it's now metal, able to take on more from enemy fire. Machine guns were fixed on planes instead of hand pistols. So you're going to see this development of planes as weapons as well. And then planes went from being able to fly 80 feet above ground to in 1910, 5,000 feet by 1912. So you see this jump from 80 feet to 5,000 feet by 1912. By the time of the start of World War One, they were obviously reaching a little bit higher as well. So you're going to see this image. For those super interested, you can watch these videos on machine guns, dogfights. We aren't going to watch, though, for the sake of time. You'll have free time to watch this. We have flamethrowers. So flamethrowers, this is the next point. Make sure you're jotting down one interesting fact from each of these new technologies. The flamethrower was introduced by the Germans in 1901. I haven't seen a flamethrower in person, like in any kind of combat or anything like that. You see it in some movies, but I have seen my neighbor. He torches his grass, so he'll like bring out his flamethrower and torch his grass. So nowadays it's used to torch grass, but back in these days it was used in war. It was introduced by the Germans in 1901. These were found useful in the trenches where soldiers hid in dugouts or bunkers. So you're able to shoot from far away. In this picture, you're going to see it covers some distance. Instead of destroying a bunker that could be useful, they kept it intact while burning out the residents. So essentially, kept the trenches intact, but it did force people out of the trenches. Here's a picture. Would not want to be on the other end of that. World War I flamethrower recreated. It covers some distance, so you don't have to be right there. You could be in the near proximity, and it would serve its purpose. So we have a primary source right here. It's called Success and Failure on the First Day of the Battle of Somme by Paul Kendall. So I'll let you read that. It's been a minute. You can pause this video, think about it. We're going to move on to mustard gas. So mustard gas, also introduced by the Germans in 1917. This was towards the tail end of war. They marked their shells yellow, hence why they called it the Yellow Cross. It was the mostly highly reported and effective gas of World War I. Sometimes it took 4 to 5 weeks to die from the effects. So this was like one of those slow burn kind of, essentially it was kind of a torture device. So mustard gas, you would not want to be mustard gassed. Definitely a very crucial part of this war, but we're going to see it become outlawed in the next. The Germans deploy a new chemical of war, or new weapon of war, chemicals. So you have this chemical warfare now, as opposed to physical, mental, you have chemical war now. So you're going to see chlorine gas and gas mask. For those super interested, watch on your own.
First World War technology.
We will not be watching that. Now we have U-boats, aka submarines. Also introduced by the Germans. The Germans seem to be ahead of the game when getting ready for war. And we looked at that in the last week as well. So the submarines were initially intended to be used to counteract the power of the British Navy. The British Navy was strong. They were a very strong Navy. They were the world's finest. So we see submarines were ineffective against modern warships. So they began attacking merchant vessels. So they knew they wouldn't be able to attack modern warships. So they settled with merchant vessels. This is what's going to pull the United States into the war. So this is a submarine. It's pretty big. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I could ever live on a submarine being underwater. It's not for me. Not for me. Here's another video for those super interested in watching. We aren't going to watch it, but spend some time watching it if you want to. We have the machine gun. So this was an old school machine gun. It looks a little different now. So machine gun of old. This is one of the first. So we had the first automatic machine gun was invented by Hiram Maxim for the British Army, 1884. So we see the British and Germans really kind of setting the stage for these new war technologies. Remember, the United States doesn't get involved in the war until a little bit later. You always see the U.S. start semi-neutral, and what I mean by neutral is they lean towards one side. It's just they aren't involved in physical battle just yet. Turn warfare into a defensive war. So you can shoot this from some distance away and still protect the area, what you're trying to protect. In the most famous battle of World War I, Battle of Somme in France, the machine gun killed over 1 million men in just 4 months. It's quite a bit of men. Quite a bit of men died because of the machine gun. You're going to see how the automatic machine gun works. You can spend some time working on that, watching it. All these videos are about 2 minutes in length. Also another video, Machine Gun World War I Uncut, the Dan Show. It's about 7 minutes. So this is where we are going to end it today. So remember, on this document here, you're writing down one interesting fact for each, and then you're going to turn it in for credit on Google Classroom. Following that activity, you're going to start on the textbook assignment posted for you on Google Classroom. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. We'll talk more about this on Friday. Have a good rest of your day, guys. I'll see you soon.